Thank you for joining me today for this very special Hangout on Air from Suntico for companies that use Sage 50 accounting software. Coming up today, a simple and nifty accounts payable process for your Sage 50. My name is Hugh Johnson. I'm Head of Business Development at Suntico. And if you'd like to get in touch with me after this Hangout on Air, please do so. You can reach me via the normal social channels or by email at hugh.johnson@suntico.com. The context of today's Hangout on Air are companies, small to medium-sized companies that use Sage 50 and employ maybe 10 to 100 people across perhaps more than one location. And the challenge in implementing a simple and nifty accounts payable process is really implementing an effective communication and collaboration between, on the one hand, the finance department that orders your goods and services and pays for your goods and services from your vendors on behalf of, on the other hand, another department that wants and consumes those goods and services. And of course, the key is to make sure that what you order, you receive and you pay for, nothing more and nothing less. And what's really important is that you can do this efficiently, with transparency and without error and without mistake. And of course, some people in some situations welcome mistakes. Miles Davis, for example, had a famous quote that said, "Do not fear mistakes, there are none." Well, in the context of a creative process, perhaps I would agree with Miles Davis. But in the context of an accounts payable process, I really don't think we want to start getting creative, because in an accounts payable process, small errors, even in a small business, can very quickly give you a very big soaking. And the kind of errors and problems that arise, well, there's an obvious one in a small business, which is fraud, because in a small business, it's sometimes difficult to separate different tasks across different people. And you may end up with too much authority and power concentrated in one person, which opens up the possibility for fraud. If you don't have effective processes in place, it becomes, and if you're not able to complete an effective three-way match between your purchase order, your invoice, and your goods received notes, it's very easy to get into situations of overpayment against an invoice that is perhaps overstated against what was actually received. Also, if you are particularly in a multi-office environment where you've got maybe hard copy or email invoices floating around the business waiting for approval and don't get back to the finance team, and meanwhile the finance team get a statement from the vendor, it's very easy to get into situations of double payment, where on the one hand you're paying against the statement and then the invoice comes back to the finance team and gets paid again. And in a situation where you've got all this toing and froing between departments and emails and so on, it's very easy for invoices to get paid late. And actually you don't want that either, because you enter the possibility of late payment fees, you damage your reputation with perhaps vendors that you really want to maintain a very good relationship with, you add to the administration costs in terms of all the toing and froing that occurs. And of course, actually, if you make mistakes and double pay or underpay or overpay, you also enter into the situation of having accounting errors, because your balance sheet and your income statement will not accurately reflect your business, which again, A, you don't want, and B, introduces additional costs to the business to fix. So these are all things that can arise from actually perhaps some quite small errors in your accounts payable process. And in a small to medium-sized business, especially one that's growing quite quickly, putting in proper processes and systems and organizing your people around those processes and systems can be a real challenge. And this is across all your processes and systems, not just your accounts payable processes and systems. So actually what happens in a typical small business is that gets compensated for with emails. And email is a really woeful tool when it comes to try to find information later on and find out what's gone on. But if you take a step back and you think, actually, what are we trying to achieve? Okay, so we may not want to put in some big accounts payable processing system, but actually the core that we're trying to achieve is an efficient way to achieve a three-way match. And that's really just matching the three documents, that is your purchase order, your goods received note, and your purchase invoice, to make sure they all correspond and they all match. And ideally, you're having different individuals involved in that match, because that way you help avoid the possibility of any fraud. So if we're talking about the context of a small to medium-sized business already using Sage 50 to manage their purchase orders and their purchase invoices, it's a question then of, well, how do we extend that, and how do we involve the user departments that are consuming the goods and services that are ordered and paid for by the finance team? And really what we're talking about is enabling that collaboration and communication to put in place a simple and nifty accounts payable process for your Sage 50. And that, of course, is exactly what Suntico does. And we're going to take a quick look at that now. Now, don't get me wrong. What Suntico isn't is a specific purpose-built accounts payable processing system. And that's reflected in the price you would pay for Suntico. Suntico is a general purpose communication and collaboration system that sits on top of your Sage 50 accounting software and is perfect to facilitate the kinds of communication and collaboration that you need to facilitate between your finance department and your end user teams to manage your accounts payable process and to implement your three-way match. So let's take a quick look at a sample demo. If you like what you see from this demo, you can go to our website and apply for access to our demo account, and you can actually get access to this very same demo account and have a try yourself and experiment. We have two actors that we're going to look at today. One is the financial controller of Bellwether Garden Supply, and the other is Derek Gross, who's a project manager also with Bellwether Garden Supply. Derek is often out of the office, but Derek is the end user in this case that has ordered and consumed some goods and services from De Julia Wholesale Supplies. Dolores Flowers has meanwhile received an invoice from De Julia, and she has actually checked that against the original purchase order, and the invoice and the order match, but she doesn't know for sure whether that actually matches what was received by the business. And for that, she needs to collaborate with Derek Gross, and that's what we're going to take a look at just now. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone over to the Suntico website and I've logged into Suntico as Dolores Flowers. And what Dolores wants to do is very simply, she wants to create a task for Derek Gross to approve an invoice, the invoice from De Julia Wholesale Supplies that she's received. So what she'll do is she'll go to My Business and Tasks, go to create a new task, and I've defined different types of tasks here. It's a goods receipt confirmation that I'm looking for from Derek Gross, and I'm going to reference the invoice. This is just like referencing people on Facebook, except I'm going to put in the invoice number, purchase invoice number there. I'm also going to reference Derek Gross, so he gets a notification of this. I will say, please can you confirm if you have received all these items and I can pay the invoice. I can set an end date if I want. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm not going to, but I can assign this task to Derek Gross. If I want, I can link this task to other tasks. I don't need to in this particular case. I just save that. Now, what's going to happen now is that task is going to get sent to Derek Gross, and Derek is going to get a notification of that. I'm just going to do one more thing as Dolores, and I'm going to choose to follow this task, just like you might follow a friend on Facebook, which means that I will get a notification on my wall as this task is updated by Derek Gross. I go back to my wall. This is rather like your Facebook timeline, where I can see a timeline of events that are happening within the business. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip over to Derek Gross. And here we have one all prepared earlier. I'm just going to log in again as Derek Gross, and I see a notification there. Derek is out in the field, and you notice that he's using his iPad to access Suntico. And there she sees Dolores has assigned a task to me. I'm just going to go straight to my wall. I could equally go in and investigate my tasks. There I see new task number 41, goods receipt confirmation, purchase invoice. Please can I confirm I've received all these items. I can drill down and actually take a look at the invoice here if I want. I'll go back to my wall. I'll just open up the task and approve it because that all looks okay. So I'll open up the task. All I need to do is change the status to done and save. And if I want, I can just add a little note there to Dolores if I want. That is fine and approved. Here I see that I get notification that the task that I'd assigned to Derek has been changed to done, together with his note, and I know that now that I can go ahead and pay this invoice. As I said, if you'd like to take a try of this yourself, please just go to our website, and at the menu at the top or on the main homepage there where it says try our demo, just click on that button and register your interest, and we'll send you the login details for this demo account that you've been taking a look at.